Hi, YouTube again. I'm just making a lot of videos for you guys. I mean, this is a real treat, right? Well, since this is the decade, I should talk about, the games of the decade that, the decade that, have passed, and the games that I really enjoyed throughout that decade. Um, and Wind Waker is one of them, especially Wind Waker. I cannot single that one out because the feel of it was just amazing, the idea of it was awesome, and the difficulty was, actually, to me, I will always go on record to say that I think Wind Waker was the final hardcore Zelda game, because it was hard. There was parts of the game that was kind of legitimately hard, and I mean there were some parts that sucked, of course, like the sailing, but I got over that though. I mean the sailing got better in my opinion. I always think people who hate sailing didn't give it a chance. I gave it so many chances, and I'm so glad I did because I like the sailing now. It's a little bit better. I think it could have been better. It's not bad. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. So those people who make it sound like it's the worst thing ever, they're drunk, probably. So, I mean, I also love the story. I think the story in this one is a little bit more personified, and I would agree with a lot of people in the past that were like, "Oh, I can't believe it's cell shaded. Oh, it sucks. I don't like this. I like the teaser trailer they released in 2001. I was in that bandwagon for the longest time because I wanted to play as an adult, as an teen Link or an older Link than a young Link, and I did not like these cell shaded at all when I was at first. But then when I played it, I realized it really does good with cell shading. It works with the story, everything. It's so much better with cell shading, and after that game, I just wish every Zelda game would do that. I wish every Zelda game was in cell shaded, period. I don't like the realism. As good as it is, I don't mind it, but at the end of the day, I prefer cell shading over that any days instead of. But as far as I know, they insist on making it realistic, like Ocarina of Time and all that, like Twilight Princess, for instance. I don't mind it. It's just the story of Wind Waker was just so amazing. It was. I enjoyed it a lot more than any other thing. I'm still going through Ocarina of Time. I'm a late Zelda fan, okay? So don't make fun of me, please. I started liking Zelda back in 2004. That's just me. Moving on to another game that of the decade, which just stood out to me, was No More Heroes. Surprise, surprise, because that game was so bizarre that it deserved to be on the list. It really was bizarre enough to make it, because you don't play games like that often. It's once in a lifetime game. You will not. I can guarantee you will not see another game like No More Heroes or No More Heroes 2, I should say, until in the future. So that's that. Another game of the decade is the Metal Gear franchise. Metal Gear Solid, Twin Snakes, Snake Eater, Sons of Liberty, and Guns of the Patriots. Those were the best Metal Gear games I've ever played. 4 was a little weak, I will say that. There were some parts of it that, I wish wasn't there, mainly the mission briefings. But I think everything else was fine. I didn't mind the ending and all, because a lot of people didn't like it. The only thing I did not like about the ending was the wedding. That's the only thing I'll agree with. And the Raiden part. Yeah, those two parts were sucked, but everything with Solid Snake and a certain someone was awesome. That was awesome. But the marriage scene, I wish that was out, and I also wish the what's it called? Oh yeah, the Raiden scene with his kid. Yeah, I wish that was also taken out as well. Those two parts of the ending just sucked. But other than that, it was a great game. Act 4 and 1 were the best acts, in my opinion. Again, this is all opinionated. Feel free to disagree. I read the comments. I don't care if you think that my list is bad. But another game that kind of stuck out for me in the decade was Devil May Cry 3. And this one I have fond memories of, actually. This one and Luigi's Mansion, actually. But Luigi's Mansion was not game of the decade. But Devil May Cry 3 made it, though. That was the first Devil May Cry game I played. And I was a noob back in the day, so I didn't do good at hard games. I always loved the easy ones. So my friend got me up to the part where, Dante enters the demon world, and I had to take down Arkham and Virgil. Now, I did those two things by myself. I did everything by myself after that point. And Virgil was just a rewarding boss fight that it made me just sit there in awe, and it was just like, the whole time I just kept looking, I was just like, silent. I was just like, wow, I'm appreciating this whole experience, and It's just that I felt like a kid again. When you were a kid and you beat that first game you ever bought and you beat it, and you just get that silence in the room and you're just like so excited that you did it, but you're quiet because you want to see what happens next. Mainly happened with me Luigi's Mansion. That was the first game I've beaten, and I was just like, oh my god, that's amazing. And when I was a kid, because it was just like, wow, I did something by myself, and I feel so independent, I feel so mature, and I feel so amazed by this. And then, Devil May Cry 3 comes down the line, and, this is me being a little bit more mature, but still a noob, kind of. And then I beat it, and I was like, wow, I'm no longer a noob. I'm now a full-fledged gamer. I can do it, and I'm going to work on the next difficulty. And, it's such a fun game, and it's just, you get that childhood experience, happiness, so that's why Devil May Cry 3 made the list. Another game that kind of stuck out for me was Uncharted 1. Uncharted 2 did stick out for me, but that made it to near the end. But that was also good. But Uncharted 1, I have fond memories of, because there's a certain part of the game where you have to fight off these cursed monster things, and you had to go through this dark area, and you would fight, like 1 or 2 or 3 sometimes, and they weren't that many, and you're just like, oh, whatever, this is easy. And because they died easily, because they were overpowered. It was a great balance between the two, because they could easily kill you as you can easily kill them. However, it's a great trade-off. But then you get to the part where you turn on the power. After that, you don't know what the fuck to expect, and you have all these monsters charging at you, full force, and I just think that's amazing. It's just, you sit there and you're just like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And it's awesome. And I was playing this at 3 in the morning, and it was dark. I turned the lights. The lights were off for some reason. I didn't feel like having the lights on, and I was at that part. And God, I was frightened because they would come out of every single nook and cranny I could think of. Like, it was just that it was just like, okay, I'm gonna hide here and shoot them off, and maybe I'll clear out the room pretty much. I was there for like a long time. Ran out of bullets on both guns and ran out of grenades. So I had to run, and I was like, oh fuck, they keep coming. And I went to this one room. I'm like, okay, good. They're not gonna come in here, because I'd assume that they wouldn't. So I walk in a little bit, and all of a sudden I hear like they're screaming, like screaming noises coming in the TV. I'm like, oh god, no, and all of a sudden like I just feel this vent. I just see this vent popping right out, and I'm like, oh god, no, and it's like, not one, but there's one in front of me. I shoot him, then before I know it, there's one behind me, and it's just that I was terrified. I was like, oh my god, they're coming from every direction. I cannot get away from these guys. And after I beat that area of the game and I got to a place that was awesome, I'm like, I'm gonna go to bed. This is too much for me. I cannot handle this much. So I go to bed, and damn it, I've been hearing shit. Because when you stay up late, you start hearing shit, and you start thinking that, oh, it's real. You start tripping pretty much because you're up so late. And I could have sworn I heard them crawling through my vents in the house. I could have sworn I've been hearing them coming in and all that. It was a terrifying experience for me that night, and I had a hard time sleeping, but I went through it, so that's awesome. That's why Uncharted made the list. Thanks for watching.